Hey, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to Philadelphia Eagles Now. Listen, it's draft season, right? I mean, technically, we're still a couple of months away from the NFL draft. However, I get so many DMs on Twitter. Thomas, who's your favorite draft prospect? Thomas, who should we take in the first round? All right, here we go. I'm going to jump into my top 5 most, I would say, loved draft picks right now in the NFL draft. My top 5 prospects in the first round who I would take if I was Philadelphia Eagles or Howie Roseman or the Eagles front office. Now, this can change, obviously, as we get closer to the April draft, but my research tells me these 5 are the best. Let's jump into, though, just kind of a broad outlook here, as we normally do. As we all know, they have about $14 million in cap space, and so that is relevant when talking about the NFL draft, because Philadelphia can, of course, cut people, free up more cap space, and fill some of these draft needs in free agency. So the people I talk about here, in terms of the draft need that they represent, linebacker, wide receiver, cornerback, defensive line, can actually change based on what they do in free agency. And of course, free agency happens first. It's March 16th versus the April 28th NFL draft in Las Vegas. Now, we all know, I don't have to say it again, although I will, 3 first-round draft picks, lots of options, and lots of ability to go ahead and fill the numerous team needs. Listen, and most of them being defense. You need a linebacker, you need a pass rusher, you need a wide receiver, whether that's free agency or the NFL draft, you need a cornerback, and maybe offensive line, although, as you'll see, I don't think offensive line is that important in terms of my prospects here diving into this video. What is important, though, is recognizing that this is the most important draft ever, and I'm not over-exaggerating that. This is the most important draft Philadelphia has had in a very, very long time. Again, possibly ever. It's not every year you have 3 first-round draft picks. I mean, that is a chance to get legit 3 starters who make an immediate impact right away, and the chance for 1, 2, 3 of them to turn into actual superstars. Like, anytime you draft somebody, they have a chance to be a superstar, but that's heightened if they're first-round draft picks. Philadelphia has 3, hence the idea it's the most important draft ever. Speaking of those 3, just to reiterate it one more time, you have 15 overall via Miami, 16 overall via Indianapolis, and then the Eagles' very own sitting there at 19 overall. And I'm just so pumped for the draft, and I think you guys are too. Before we jump into number 5 on my list of the top 5 prospects I would take in the first round, give this video a thumbs up. We got 1,000 likes the last time I asked for 1,000 likes. Can we bump it up to 1,200 likes? What do you think? You guys, how excited are you for the draft? If you're pumped for the draft, go down below, hit that thumbs up button. Let's get to 1,200 likes here on the video. All right, so just for, purposes' sake, we're starting at 5 and going down to 1s. 5 being my least favorite prospect, 1 being my most favorite prospect, but of course, all 5 are favorites because they actually made the list. Starting with number 5, and Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Now, he's the only receiver that's going to make the list. So you say, Thomas, there are a lot of other good receivers. What about Garrett Wilson? What about Jameson Williams? What about John Mechie? All great. I think the best, though, and the one that fits Philadelphia the most is Chris Olave. He's the best route runner in the draft. That's important at the next level. One of the things that transitions very well to the next level. And he's also a deep threat. Devontae Smith, he's a deep threat, but I don't know if I can consider him like a real deep threat, like a pure deep threat. This is a pure deep threat here from Chris Olave. 13 of his 65 catches ended in scores in 2021. It's like 25%. Like, a lot of these were scores in terms of run after catch, in terms of being very similar to Devontae Smith, but also being a little bit different. Him and Smith on the outside would be a 1-2 pairing that would be absolutely fantastic. Now, personally, I think Philadelphia's going to go ahead and get their free agent or get their wide receiver in free agency, and so I doubt they'll take Olave, but you could very easily see him being the 19th draft pick or 19th overall draft pick, the 3rd of the first round draft picks, because I think he'll be there and be available towards the end of the first round. And as we all know, they have to improve the wide receiver depth chart. I mean, Rager, he's going to be here. I don't think they're going to get rid of him unless someone wants to actually trade for him. But the addition of an Olave next to a Devontae Smith would be incredible, regardless of who is playing quarterback. Ad break, pin comment down below. Who's your favorite first-round draft prospect? Let me know who you like down below in the pinned comment section. Of course, mine coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And while you're down there commenting, we've been growing at an incredible rate here in the offseason, approaching 24K here in terms of subscribers. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a brand new subscriber, thanks for subscribing. If you're not subscribed yet, you love the Eagles, you've come to the right place. Trust me. I mean, hit the red subscribe button, notification bell, and enjoy all of our Eagle-only specific content that's not just, some random fans sitting there and telling you what they love. We talk about real things happening in terms of Philadelphia, real news, real rumors, and real draft videos like this one here as well. All right, my 4th favorite draft prospect in the first round is David Ojabo, the defensive end out of Michigan. Now, I like him, and I think that Philadelphia obviously needs a pass rusher. I just don't know if he's my favorite pass rusher here in the first round. Now, obviously, we're not going to see Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau on this list because Philadelphia is not going to be in position to draft them unless they trade up. So Ojabo is one of the 2, I think, that are really likely to be there at 15, 16, or 19. The problem with Ojabo is he's insanely raw. Like, he's one of these guys that you hear about who has very little football background coming over from Nigeria. He's only only 21 years old, and in times, you think about the SEC championship game, or should I say, sorry, the college football semifinal game, Michigan versus Georgia, Ojabo was even more unimpressive than Aiden Hutchinson was. Now, that's one game, and Ojabo has a history in terms of this season being very impressive on film, but he's very much someone you have to build. Like, he's a potential star. He's not Jordan Mailata raw, but think kind of Jordan Mailata to where he has the physical ability. Can you just get the most out of him as an NFL player? That's my concern right now with Ojabo. Now, obviously, Philadelphia needs another pass rusher, and I think he's a massive upgrade over Derek Barnett, who's not going to be here next offseason. Obviously, an upgrade over Ryan Kerrigan. Him alongside Josh Sweat and alongside Brandon Graham for one final year would be a very improved defensive line there in Philadelphia. He's just a little too raw for me, and I don't know if I'd take him at 15 overall. I might try to wait till 16 or 19. All right, number 3 comes up here. More of my favorite defensive end in just 1 second. First, though, shout out to our friends at BetUS, my one-stop shop for all the sports betting that I do all year long. I have a lot of fun sports betting. I don't go crazy. I mean, I get $10 here, $15 there. I don't put $100 here, $100 there, but it's a lot of fun always when you guys do with our friends at BetUS. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet. That promo code is Eagles125. Get you a 125% deposit bonus whenever you first sign up, meaning you put $100 down, turns into $225 for your betting pleasure. Link you see on the screen below me right here. Just put it up there in Google and get to betting on sports. All right, now my favorite of the first-round pass rushers, not named Thibodeaux or Hutchinson, is George Karlaftis, the defensive end out of Purdue. He, to me, he's what Ojabo could eventually become, but he's a lot more NFL-ready than Ojabo is, hence why he's number 3 on my list instead of number 4. He's the third best defensive end in this draft, I think right behind, like I said, Hutchinson and Thibodeaux. He's strong, he's big, he's fast. You're going to see him test insanely well at the NFL Combine, which is probably bad news for Philadelphia because someone might actually get him, 8, 9, 10 in the draft. When the Falcons sit there at number 8, they need a pass rusher. Will he be there at 15 is my issue here, but this would be an incredible player to go ahead and add to Philadelphia, and I really think defensive end is one of their biggest needs. I think pass rusher is incredibly important. You look at the remaining players left in the NFC and AFC championship round, most of those teams have elite pass rushers. Philadelphia, besides Brandon Graham, and I guess eventually Josh Sweat, does not have as scary good as a pass rush as you would like them to have. They were last in sacks this year, and that tells you a lot. Now, we haven't talked about linebacker. It's coming up in a second, but what's the bigger need right now? Defensive end or linebacker? Those are your top 2 needs, in my opinion, in Philadelphia. Is it linebacker? Is it defensive end? Type DE for defensive end or type LB down below for linebacker. Let me know what you think is the biggest need for Philadelphia down below. Speaking of linebacker, let's get into my number 2 prospect here on my top 5 draft picks draft prospects I take in the first round. It's a name we all know and love, Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of UGA. Now, you'll notice he's not number 1. And for a lot of people on Twitter who love the Eagles, they would say Nakobe Dean is number 1, especially after watching the national championship game. Here's the problem with Dean. Size. He's not that big. If you actually go through the overall size of Nakobe Dean, he's 6 foot flat, 225 pounds. Now, that means he's super fast and can cover very, very well, but if you wanted to play middle linebacker, he's got to fill holes. He's got to get off blocks. He's got to get away from, pulling guards and pulling tackles and strong centers and fullbacks filling holes first. And so that's my fear right now with Nakobe Dean. Now, he's still fantastic, and he'd be a massive upgrade over anybody on the Eagles' current linebacker depth chart. I mean, a massive, massive upgrade, and I would love for him to be in Philadelphia. But as you'll see, he's not my favorite linebacker in the draft. That's coming up here in just 1 second. Now, when we continue our conversation about my top 5 draft prospects here, who I would take in the first round with the 3 first-round draft picks, we come to number 1. My favorite draft prospect, the one I think Philadelphia cannot pass on if he is available, Devin Lloyd, the linebacker out of Utah. He sneaks in above Nakobe Dean for one reason and one reason only. He's bigger, right? And now, is that enough for you to go, oh, well, obviously it means he's better? No, but in my opinion, watching the film, he's just all-around great. You think Fred Warner, right? If you ever watch Fred Warner, you'll see him in the NFC Championship game against the Rams. He's probably one of the best young middle linebackers in the National Football League, and he's just a gamer. He's a playmaker, and that is Lloyd. Not only can Lloyd brush the passer, he does a very good job doing that, coming off the edge and blitzes. He can cover very, very well, and he sheds blocks at an incredible rate. I mean, you go through the stats of this guy from Utah. He's incredible. And this would be Howie Roseman finally emphasizing the most important position on the defense. Maybe not. I mean, maybe corner, maybe pass rusher, but one of the most important, the captain of the defense at middle linebacker. He can be a 10-year starter. He'd be the best linebacker in Philadelphia since Jordan Hicks, D'Amico Ryans, and really since Jeremiah Trotter, the Axeman. This would be a great pick, and I am all in on upgrading the linebacker spot by going with Devin Lloyd. Now, who's your favorite player on the list, right? Just talked about them all. Chris Olave, David Ojabo, George Karlaftis, Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd. Is someone I missed? Who's your favorite player on this list? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, there are some other players that I didn't get to mention because I only had 5. I only had room for 5. Here are my honorable mentions right now that didn't make the list, but I still very much enjoy. Garrett Wilson, the other wide receiver out of Ohio State. I consider Olave to be a little bit better, although I'm in the minority there, as many draft experts think that Wilson's the best wide receiver in the draft. they're interchangeable, in my opinion. I like Olave, but Wilson makes the honorable mention. DeMarvin Leal doesn't get a lot of love, but he's a very good defensive tackle who can play both inside and outside. Think Eric Armstead of the 49ers. Think DeForest Buckner with the Colts. I don't know if he's going to be that good, but he's very much an inside-outside guy, and if you think Fletcher Cox is going to be gone this season, or Fletcher Cox is aging, then Leal has to be someone you look at in the first round. Tyler Lindenbaum will get a lot of love due to the Jason Kelce comparisons, but as I mentioned in a video earlier, I think they're fine. They have Landon Dickerson, and Landon Dickerson is going to be the next center of the heir apparent, and so I don't think Lindenbaum is going to be a draft pick Philadelphia looks at in the first round. Ahmad Gardner could very easily be a draft pick there. I've seen a lot of you guys send me mock drafts saying that this is a great pick. He's a cornerback out of Cincy. I agree. I think him alongside Darius Slay would be a great secondary addition, but didn't make my list. I like linebacker and pass rushers more. And then obviously Jameson Williams, the injured wide receiver out of Alabama, who probably would be the best receiver in this draft had he not been injured. I have no problem with the injury. I just think that Chris Olave is someone that I think is a little bit better. Although, again, like who really knows between Wilson, Williams, and Olave. Throw in John Mechie there as well. Those are my honorable mentions that didn't make the list, but still would be very good draft picks for Philadelphia in the first round. All right, ultimate time we have for today on my top 5 draft prospects. This will change. I mean, I'm telling you, this is fluid. It's January 25th, right? We're 3 months away from the April draft, so this will change. There'll be a lot of adjustments to this list, but I wanted to get you guys my top 5 favorite guys right now, and then we'll see how it adjusts and moves and is very fluid going into the April draft. Again, for Philadelphia Eagles Now, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at Real Thomas Mott as we talk things in terms of the Eagles almost every single day over there on my Twitter account as well. Plenty more videos coming up later on this week. And then, of course, if you have any more questions, go down below in the comment section. For the Eagles Now, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off to the rest of your day.